again, this is the Craps Coach, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining in today. I've got another video for you. It's going to go under the Craps strategy. It's going to be talking about a 5 count on the don't. So essentially a don't 5 count. Suggestion for this video was from a subscriber. I watched a video they suggested. This gentleman was talking about myths on craps, and he talked about a don't 5 count, i.e. he does not play the do 5 count or the normal 5 count. So I'm going to get into this and kind of see how this plays out and what you kind of think about it. All right, but before I get started, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Turn your notifications on so you get a little bell whenever we put out new content. All right, 5 count. I'm going to put in the description the link to my video on the 5 count. So typically the 5 count was what you would use on a random shooter. It was typically a do system or a do 5 count, meaning you're betting with the shooter. You're making some come bets and then you're hoping the shooter makes the point again. This one is going to talk specifically about the don't 5 count, i.e. this is what this gentleman suggested to do on a random shooter, i.e. you're going to make a don't pass bet. You're going to make a don't pass bet, and one of the premise of his logic was essentially you're starting to bet right away instead of waiting until you get up to the count of 5 before betting. So let me explain the don't 5 count. So you start on the come out roll and you put a don't pass bet down. So now whatever rolls happens, you're going to still 5 count the shooter. And when you get to a count of 5 and the person has not 7'd out yet, you're then going to put some place bets. So he was very vague in what sort of place bets, how much place bets. Is it has anything to do with how much you put down on your don't pass bet? All the numbers, some of the numbers, I'm not sure. So he was very vague in that, but the premise was when the shooter, if the shooter never makes it to the count of 5, so for the do better, doing the do 5 count, you're actually able to win, whereas the 5 count, the do 5 count is slowly getting the money out. So let me kind of break it down, my logic on this. It is true. I'll agree with what he says. If the shooter's going to 7 out long before he ever gets to the count of 5, and the do shooter, this is going to be the do 5 count, this is going to be the don't 5 count. The do shooter never gets there. The do shooter never gets into the game. That is true. I will give him that. However, if the shooter does get to a count of 5, and then this gentleman just said you should put some place bets. Well, he was very vague. He didn't really say what sort of place bets. Are you just going to go with the insides? What are you going to do? I'm not sure. But then, for example, the 5 count on the do shooter says, talking about doing at that point, once you count this person to 5, you put a come bet down. And one of the things I like about this, let's say the point is 10, you 5 count at the shooter, and you've got the don't 5 count now takes his don't pass off, and he puts, say he just goes 22 inside. And the do 5 count player then makes a comeback. Well, one of the things I hope you see immediately is that if now a 7 comes, and so theoretically a 5 count person, if you get to a count of 5, you're probably at least 5 rolls. You could be 6, maybe 7. And if it's a random, if a 7 is going to come, you're going to win on this. But say a 7 doesn't come, and then you make it your first come, and the comes move to the number. Let's say it was a 6 and a 3, and so the comes move to this. Now the second bet that you go, if a 7 happens to come, you're going to lose this and win this for a wash, whereas this shooter this player would have won 7 on that, and then he would have lost the rest. So one of the things I do like about the do 5 count is that you get your money out slowly. Yes, I will agree. You are not in on the actions on the first few rolls until you get to a count of 5. But then what do you do with your bets? How much do you bet? Again, gentleman was very vague upon that. So I wanted to explore that. I'm going to just simply run a comparison of one person doing a don't 5 count and don't 5 count here. And this person is going to be doing a do 5 count. Essentially, we got 420 in the rack. It's pretty good. We're going to start with simply 20, because I think if we get to a count of 5, we're going to go 22 inside. And this one, we're going to assume it's a $10 table for the sake of this. This will be the do 5 count. I'm also going to keep count of how many passes, how many times the point is hit, how many times it's not. And I will go through counting up to 5 before we do any betting and all that, just like the 5 count goes. Again, if you don't know the 5 count, find my video. It's in the description, and review that, because I will just go through when we hit to a count of 5 and talk about it. But essentially, I'm not going to teach the 5 count. You can go find that video. All right, so again, totally random rollers, jiggling the dice, throwing them into the corner here. We'll bring them back into camera view, and we'll kind of see how this goes. This is a don't 5 count player. This is a do 5 count player, and we're going to see after, I don't know, 6 decisions, how many, what's it look like. So really curious about this, and I'll talk about through the video kind of what's going on. All right, so the do 5 count, he does not bet on the come out roll. So, but the don't 5 count player does, because again, the gentleman described, you want to get in on the action. If the 7 out comes within the first 5 rolls, at least you had some money down. So we'll see how this goes here. All right, again, don't, if you want to understand how to play the don't, find my video on the don't pass. You can find that. I'll put that in the description also. All right, so we're not going to say new shooter coming out, totally random roll. All right, 9. So the point is 9. The count is 1. Okay. The next 3 rolls, regardless of the outcome, are counts 2, 3, and 4. So, all right, here's another one. All right, 7 out. Gentleman 1. Puck is off. Probably the worst possible combination you could go. 0.7 out. All right, so that's 1 don't pass. All right, here we go. Coming out again. All right, 6. Point is 6. Count is 1. Now, next 3 rolls, regardless of the outcome, are counts 2, 3, and 4. All right, 8. Okay, this count is 2. Here comes count 3. 4. And here comes count 4. 12. Okay, now in order to go from a count of 4 to 5, we need to see a box number. So, all right, we're on a count of 4 and holding until I see a box number. Oh, 7. Line away. The don't shooter wins again, and that's 2 don't pass. The do shooter never got in on any action. All right, so coming out again. Yeah, coming out. All right. 7, frontline winner. Don't shooter loses that bet. Still coming out. He's got to recharge there with another don't pass. So coming out. Count is 0. 9. Okay. All right, count is 1. Next 3, regardless of outcomes, are counts 2, 3, and 4. 6. 3 craps. So 1, 2, 3, count 3. Now this is going to be count 4. All right, 7 out. Never got there. Don't shooter wins. That is 3 don't pass. Cold table. All right, coming out. 4. Okay, count is 1. 8. Count is 2. 3. Count is 3. What do we got here? 10. Count is 4. Now, in order to go to 4 to 5, we need a box number. 3. So we're at 4 and holding. 5. We finally got the count of 5. Now the do shooter, it's $10 table, he's going to put there. And what the gentleman basically said was, then I'm going to put him back here. So you can see. Basically then just take your don'ts off, your don't pass off, and then place the bets. So not knowing specifically what he said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go 22 inside here. You know what? I'm going to go back to here so it's in view of the camera. All right. So now do shooter slowly getting his money out. So we're at count of 5. We finally got to count of 5. So I'm going to stop counting and we'll just kind of see how this plays out. All right. 7. He lost all this. He won that and that, and then this is my keeping track of how many don'ts numbers. It was 4. Still, not one shooter has made a pass, has made the point. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's see how this works out. And you can see there, as the do shooter slowly got the money out and the 7 came, he won. The don't moved his to the insides, 22 insides. I don't know if the gentleman wanted you to go more, but he lost. Basically, he lost. So let's see. All right, we're coming out. 8. It was an 8 off camera there, but it was an 8. All right, so the count is 1. Okay, heart 8. It made the point. Count is 2. It's 1 pass. Count is 2. He's got to do another don't pass. Count is 2. Oh yeah, this is bad for the don't shooter when the 11 comes. Count is 3. Now going to count 4. Oh wow, double 11s. Okay, so now we're sitting on count 4. In order to go to count 4 to 5, I need a box number here. All right, so 3 craps, he wins. All right, count of 5 and holding, trying to get out there. All right, 8. So now the point is 8. This shooter will now make his first comeback. This gentleman said, well, if you've 5 counted him, just go ahead and make some place bets. So, all right. So I'm going to stop counting. Count is 5. We've made it to 5. The point is 8, and we're just going to kind of play this out, see how it goes. Oh, look at that. 7. Again, lost. Shooter then did not make that, but the do 5 count wins his bet. All right, and we're coming out again. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decisions. I'm going to go out a little bit more. I'd like to see at least a couple passes, maybe. But again, it's mainly a cold table. 6 decisions right here. 1 per shooter made the point. 5 did not. So overall, it's a cold table. All right. Okay, 5. So the point is 5. Count is 1. 6. Count is 2. 4. Count is 3. Oops, no roll. Off the table. Count is 3. 3. Count is 4. Now, in order to go with count of 4 to 5, I need to see a box number. Oh, 7. Never got there. The don't actually wins. Again, another don't pass. All right, coming out. 10. Okay, count is 1. 4. Count is 2. 6. Count is 3. 10. Count is 4. And he loses. Shooter made the point, so I'm going to mark that another point made. Count is 4. Now, in order to go 4 to 5, I need to see a box number. He's going to go back on his don't pass. This do player is simply waiting for box number, which should establish the point, and then he's going to simply go into his routine of doing a comeback. All right. 6. Now, he counted him to 5. The don't says go, just take off your don't and then put it on the place bet so you can get on the action, because if the shooter's going to go into a long roll. So let's see how this works. I've counted him to 5. I'm going to stop counting, just roll the dice and see what the results are. Yo, 11. That was a winner. So 5. He wins 7. Comes move to 5. He's going to put another come out there. Now remember, this 5 count, I like to play it where I get 3 numbers established and then I'll put odds on it, and not until then. No odds until I get 3 numbers established. So, all right, so 5. 3, that's a loss. 9. There, it's another 7. Comes move to 9. He's going to make one more comeback. Was a 6. Was a 6. I tipped the dice over. So that was a 6. Shooter made the point. So let's pay this guy. He's going to move, comes move to 6. The point is off. So now this shooter has finally gotten to a nice sustained roll. And even though I can put odds on, but they're not working on the come out roll here. But let's go 2 odds here, 1 odd here, and 2 odds there. All right. Now let's go 2 odds on each. Do shooter's got 20, 40, 60 out. Don't shooter's got only 22 inside playing. The shooter made the point. I think I marked it. Yep. And we're coming out as far as this roll is going. All right, 4. Okay. 8. That. And let's see. 9. 7 for this gentleman here, and this is going to pay 3 to 2, and that's off. 9. 7. I'm not pressing or anything. I'm just letting them take the profit off the table. So 9. Oh, 7 out. So all these lose. That comes down, and another losing. So let's kind of see where we're at. This was the don't shooter. This was the do 5 count shooter. After all that, he made 15. This was the don't shooter. So all right, there's 6. So let's give one more red for that. All right, so $10, $15. So he's down 25, actually 20. He's down $24. He's up 15. And you would think if these represent, the red represent the number of don't passes, 7 to 2. So 7 times the shooter did not make the point. 2 times the shooter made the point. That last roll, the shooter finally got in there, and the don't. Oops, here. I didn't do that. So the do, my mistake. So the do 5 count guy is actually up 5. The don't 5 count is down 24. Maybe it would be different if you bet more aggressively and all that, but you can see, even though you had a majority of the random shooters did not make the point, the don't 5 count shooter actually lost money. And the do, which you would think on the do, right, because it's a slow way to get your money out, actually made 5 on that. So again, I wanted to address that. It was on this video about myths and craps. Listen to it. Not necessarily I agree with it. There was really very vague guidance as to if you do put some money on the don't and you 5 count the guy about putting it up on the place bets. Again, it was very vague as to what sort of place bets you do and what do you do. So overall, I still like the do 5 count on a random roller. You get in on the action if he just gets a sustained roll. I think the don't, to me, I just kind of proved my point, was that the don't 5 count player, you're kind of exposing yourself to risk, and then when you do get your money out, it's still, you're just going, 22 across inside, 44 inside. You're just blatantly just throwing out a lot of money instead of slowly feeding it out with the do shooter. So anyhow, so again, something to think about. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for joining in today. You can let me know in the comments what you think about this video. As always, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we have a new video out. And thanks for watching.